Good morning, afternoon, or evening, ladies and gentlemen. Allincrypto here, and welcome back, guys, for what is going to be another jam-packed daily cryptocurrency market update. If you are new to my channel and finding yourself on my videos for the first time today, don't forget to check out that subscribe button, because we drop an update just like this one around 1 p.m. UK time every single day to help you guys stay up to date with the latest and greatest things happening within the crypto space, but also the broader markets. And that is exactly what we intend to do in this video. We are going to be starting the video off with some breaking news in regards to crypto regulations in the UK. Now, it's looking like within the next 6 months, we are going to have clear regulations in regards to certain parts of the crypto space. This is one step closer to this asset class actually becoming an asset class. We know we have a Bitcoin spot ETF. Eventually, we will have altcoin spot ETFs. And the interesting thing about this regulation is it specifically outlines regulations for staking. And we know that in the United States, Gary Gensler and the SEC and their tyrannical crusade against the cryptocurrency space has actually, in most of the lawsuits, gone after exchanges for the offering of staking services. So this is interesting. We'll be diving into this and giving you the latest on this to start the video off. We're then going to be looking at what's coming economically today. We've got lots of PMIs coming out. The US markets, which are the big markets, we can clearly see that. You know, just a quick segment on why getting ETFs approved in the US is so important. We know that the US isn't the only country in the world, but if you look at the amount of volume that we've seen flow into Bitcoin and exchange traded products for crypto generally, it's like 98% concentrated in the US. That's where the big money is. And ultimately, we are moving towards a future, certainly with more and more clear regulations. They're still kind of grey at the moment, where we are going to have altcoin ETFs. And you guys get to sort of front run all that at a time when the markets are perfectly technically setting up. And we will be looking at that. We're going to be diving over to the Bitcoin chart. Bitcoin, crypto, the stock market, everything will have a rest at some point, but it's a rest, it's a pullback in what is a broader uptrend, and we'll be showing you that. We'll also be looking at how alt season is progressing. Now, we have said we're on the cusp of alt season. Bitcoin dominance, we think, is about to roll. Others' dominance is about to climb. Others' dominance is everything outside the top 10. And of course, got ETH BTC. Now, we've said that doesn't mean that we think we're in full-blown alt season. Altcoins are just breaking out of the kind of stage one basis. We'll show you some stage ones into stage twos that we called for the stock market. Robinhood's a stock that we're very bullish on at the moment. And we'll kind of round things off with that. But let's start the video off, as promised, by looking at probably the most significant news to come out of today. And it's not the fact that in the UK, all the councils are raising council tax by the maximum amount, which is hilarious because there's absolutely zero correlation, and I'm sorry to go on this rant, guys, in actually upping taxes and us getting a better society. There's no benefits to upping taxes other than they get to take money out of your pocket. It doesn't get spent wisely. I don't want to go down that route. I kind of already have, a little bit hypocritical of me, but let's get into the news at hand. UK minister expects stablecoin and staking legislation within 6 months. And this is according to a report from Bloomberg. Of course, Bloomberg, you have to pay, and I am a member, but because it's paid content, I don't want to take you guys behind that paywall. I think it would be unfair on YouTube. But this was actually a decent report on the whole thing from CoinDesk. Economic Secretary of the Treasury, Bim Afalomi, has said the UK government was pushing very hard to bring legislation for stablecoins and staking services for crypto assets within the next 6 months. Now, this is rather interesting because of the SEC's kind of beef with the crypto space. Not to sound like Tony Soprano there, but, you know, if we get that clear guidelines, there's going to be a contradiction between what the US is saying and what the UK is saying. And ultimately, I do think that a lot of the kind of moves the SEC has done, and they've been losing a lot of their lawsuits, is really just to stall the industry. That's my kind of overall take on it. But the UK government expects to see stablecoin and staking services legislation for the crypto sector within 6 months, according to Economic Secretary to the Treasury, Bim. In October 2023, the Bank of England and the Financial Conduct Authority, FCA for short, announced broad plans for overseeing the crypto sector in a coordinated fashion, revealing a similar timeline. A UK minister has signaled a fresh commitment to introduce stablecoin and other crypto-related legislation to the country this year. Economic Secretary to the Treasury, BIM, said that the UK government was pushing very hard to bring legislation around stablecoins and crypto staking services within the next 6 months, according to the Bloomberg report. We're very clear that we want to get these things done as soon as possible, and I think over the next 6 months, those things are doable, said BIM. Speaking at an event hosted by crypto exchange Coinbase in London on Monday, so yesterday. In October 2023, the Bank of England and the Financial Conduct Authorities announced broad plans to oversee the crypto sector in a coordinated fashion. The timeline for stablecoin rules indicated a consultation on final rules by mid-2024. So that's kind of in lines with what the Treasury Secretary is saying. An implementation of stablecoin regime by 2025, according to a CoinDesk report. BIM's statement suggests the UK is marching ahead to bring crypto regulations in the election year. The governing Conservatives are behind in polls to the Labour Party and could be under pressure to gain political mileage by passing specific legislation. Asked about a timeline on when asked about a timeline on broader crypto regulation beyond stablecoins and staking, BIM said he didn't know and that there's just a huge amount going on, so I don't want to commit to that now. So it's still, I think, definitely positive. This is set to take place in the next 6 months. I think this is a really positive step in what is the right direction, but we'll see what happens. And of course, this is the news coming out that UK council tax is set to rise. But let's not talk about that. It's going to be a heavy day of economic data. You've got lots of CPIs in Canada. You've got lots of PPIs and PMIs coming out today. So we'll see what the dollar does in the backdrop of all this. Just to remind people, last week we saw the largest inflows into crypto since December 2021. And let's just take you to December 2021 on the Bitcoin chart to show you where the market was at when we saw similar inflows to what we saw last week. Things really are heating up. Of course, this is December 2021 over here. This was really when we're at the height of or coming down from the height. You know, altcoins were still sort of rallying at this point. It's definitely a positive sign. And you guys all know the plan that we've set forth for Bitcoin. And the beautiful thing about this plan is it's getting followed. The market is giving us positive feedback. I do apologize. The slight thing that we were looking at was we didn't see volume on the break, according to Coinbase. But I think that a lot of the volume that's happening for Bitcoin, going back to this report, is taking place over the counter. You can see the volume showing up on the likes of the CME. You can see it showing up on certainly Grayscale's products, 21 Shares' products, all Bitwise, all the ETFs have huge volume. So we are going to class this as a break. And ultimately, this is going to set up a broader target to around about 150K. And we have been looking and speculating that alt season is upon us. Alt season cometh. We were looking at Bitcoin dominance, which we do think has now invalidated an uptrend and is now looking to roll. We did get a little bit of confirmation of this over certainly yesterday, but today it's kind of picking its feet up a little bit as altcoins are taking a bit of a break. We have altcoins, ladies and gentlemen, that have done 90% in the past couple of weeks. And if you want to find out what I'm buying and where and unlock my entire portfolio, get weekly meetings with me where you can ask me questions, do consider becoming a patron. We've had a huge influx of people and we will be capping it at some point, and also kind of cutting the current deal off in regards to price and opening a slightly higher one up after a certain time period, but nothing planned for now. So there is still time to get on board at the sort of prices that we have it at. We know the story with Bitcoin dominance and the crypto markets. This is the total market cap, because the Bitcoin dominance usually rolls after the market's already moved up somewhat. You can see similar thing again. It wasn't till here. Same thing is happening today. Market's moved up. Now we're looking at Bitcoin dominance rolling. Dominance typically rolls just before you go on and put in new all-time highs. So you can see this. And I think a similar thing's going to happen again today, certainly going into the halvening. There's going to be fundamental news that will accompany what we're technically looking at, and that'll be in the form of ETF altcoin ETF approvals, in my opinion. Remember, it's not just Bitcoin dominance that we're looking at to roll over. Bitcoin dominance rolling doesn't mean that Bitcoin's going down. It just means that Bitcoin's going up, but altcoins are doing more. Bitcoin dominance is going to go up if Bitcoin's going down. So this is, kind of in line with our broader thesis on where we think Bitcoin's going, what we think is going to happen with dominance, what this means for the altcoins. If you look at something like HBAR, that has now triggered for us. Still plenty of time to get into this. You usually do get a retest after a break, and we're going to see nearly a tripling of the price of this. You can see the volume on the break. Very accurate with this. This is kind of where most altcoins are at. Is there, just to show you this very quickly, sort of stage 1 base, now breaking out into the sort of stage 2 sector. We're very good at calling stage 1s and 2s, or stage 2s, and actually getting on board what is an uptrend. We teach stage analysis in the Patreon. It basically breaks the market down into 4 stages. Coinbase was one of our stage 1s down here, broke into a 2 at this point, and has now continued, and we've got actually higher targets for this. But we've got loads of stocks that we've essentially called, and they're all textbook in regards to, where they're going. These are some stocks most people like semiconductors and things don't look at in the crypto space, but we try and offer a more broad perspective of markets generally and related to the crypto space. Remember, others' dominance, we're expecting this to roll to 20%. That's not going to happen in an environment where Bitcoin's going down, and altcoins are setting up on their own technical merit to support this, along with Bitcoin dominance. And of course, ETH BTC that we were showing on the monthly chart, what happens when you historically get down to these sort of historic volume levels. You typically get a pop to the upside like previously, and this is going to break and trigger a bigger pattern, all signaling that altcoin season cometh. I was about to say altcoin cometh, but we've been long altcoins more so than Bitcoin, just because our bet on that is that altcoins will eventually outperform Bitcoin. But Bitcoin dominance, even though we were looking to get back into Bitcoin at 15, 16K, some of the first, it's all technically out there. We got the Bitcoin dominance trade wrong. So we don't get everything right on this channel, just most things. No, that is a joke, of course. We're human like everybody else, like you guys. On that note, I'm going to love and leave you. Very interesting. It's going to be an interesting day economically. Tomorrow, we've got the likes of NVIDIA coming out with their earnings. Now, they're kind of a proper up of the overall stock market. You are going to have a rest for the stock market. Typically, the S&P does pull back after going on and putting new all-time highs. That likely will weigh over on the crypto space, although Bitcoin against the S&P, the NASDAQ, and the likes of gold, is looking very healthy. So it may not affect the Bitcoin market as much, but it may stall around that time period, sort of come back to the neckline, test it a little bit before seeing further upside. That's all I've got for you in this video, guys. If you enjoyed the content, like us, appreciate it, as a comment, and I'll see you all in the next.